Hello ladies and gentlemen, Luke Innes here. Got another review of a movie for you today. A horror movie, of course. This time I am looking at the 2014 independent horror movie It Follows. It Follows was directed by a guy called David Robert Mitchell. I believe this is a very early feature in his career, and it takes quite a restrained and atmospheric approach. Essentially, the plot follows this girl named Jay, who, after having sex with her boyfriend, discovers through him that she's now being followed by a spectre that other people can't see. The spectre only travels at walking speed, but when it catches up with you, it will kill you. He disappears, no one knows where he is, and turns out he was using a fake name. She has to essentially combat this demon, or potentially pass it on. The first thing that's got to be noted about It Follows is that this movie was critically acclaimed. As soon as it was on the festival circuit, everyone heard about it. 2014 when it was first released. It continued to be successful and really popular, and a lot of people really spoke about it. But I have to say that I personally, when a horror movie is critically acclaimed as strongly as It Follows was, I get rather sceptical, because on the whole, critics don't like horror movies. Critics look down on horror movies as a lower form of cinema, so that kind of makes me a bit sceptical of any horror movie that is, you know, critically acclaimed. You look at pretty much any horror movie that is considered a classic, or most of them at least, on their initial release, they really weren't that well received. En masse, horror movies that are critically successful tend to kind of fade into the ether a little bit. That being said, there is a lot that I liked about It Follows. The first thing is it's got a really nice aesthetic to it. It's kind of set in like a non-specific time frame, like there's quite a 70s, 80s aesthetic to it, but at the same time there's modern technology. All the cars are sort of quite classic American muscle cars, and it just gives the film a really nice look. That helps by the fact that this film is photographed very well and just generally looks really nice. It's also acted very well. You know, there is a genuine panic in the acting that really gives the film a really strong tone that I quite enjoyed, to be honest. And the film definitely goes for quite a... I mean, you know, what I was saying about the retro aesthetic, it goes even further back than that in terms of its kind of way that it kind of puts across horror. It's very subdued. It's definitely a chiller of a movie. It's you know, that idea of, you know, the creeping tension that is on its way to get you, literally in this case. The idea of, you know, as long as you keep going, you know, the threat will never catch up to you. That's literally what this movie is about. I mean, the issue that sort of ties in with that, though, is that this movie definitely kind of breaks its own kind of rules in that regard. You know, there's a few jump scares in the movie, really cheap jump scares. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a massive fan of jump scares, but at the same time, I'm not critical of a jump scare. I enjoy a good jump scare. There are some great movies that have got jump scares in them. What I'm more critical of is the sort of cattle prod approach of just a really cheap, loud bang in the middle of a movie to kind of just make you sort of jump in your seat. That's not an approach that I like, because that's not really that scary. I mean, yeah, in the moment it gives you a bit of a shock, but it's not... You know, it doesn't add anything to the experience. And when you're trying to kind of maintain this kind of chilling vibe to a movie, I think that really ruins the mood a little bit, because you've got to keep yourself invested. You've got to keep your audience invested if you're going for like a sort of a more chilling, restrained kind of terror. That really takes you out of the moment if you're going to throw in a really cheap jump scare like that. And I guess my other criticism is that the story is just kind of a bit vanilla. As much as the idea of the kind of walk-in spectres is quite entertaining and quite interesting and original, the whole setup of the movie is you know, it all feels like it's been done. It's got that sense of the morality tale about sex and whatnot, which, like I say, it's been done before. Despite the fact that it does dip in places and there are moments where I'm like, come on, pick up the pace, you know, I really want to get on with this. It is quite an entertaining watch. And I've got to say, overall, I did quite enjoy It Follows. I'm not going to go as all out on it as a lot of people did. But it is an enjoyable little horror movie, a great independent movie. It's a testament to the fact that independent cinema, especially independent horror cinema, does produce some really interesting results. I mean, most people would agree that, in general, more interesting movies are made within the horror genre when there's less money or financial backing or support for them. I've got to say, this movie for me is an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed It Follows. I think it's a solid modern day horror movie that a lot of people would enjoy. It's not a movie that you need to have a great understanding of horror to get into, but at the same time, it's something that I feel like horror fans could really enjoy. It's definitely got an interesting tone. For the most part, aside from its kind of cheap jump scares, it is definitely a very chilling movie that I felt a lot of fear while watching. I did genuinely, there were a couple of moments where I was quite tense. But generally, overall, yeah, I would definitely recommend It Follows, and I'm kind of late to the party on recommending it, but all the same, if you value my opinion, then maybe you'll think to check it out, and if you do, then thanks, you're really cool. Thank you very much for watching. A plug for my podcast, Ironcast. The link is in the description. Go and check it out. I love doing Ironcast. This is all about promoting Ironcast, to be honest. If you're into music, go and check Ironcast out. It's brilliant. I love it. I'm so proud of Ironcast. Every week we put out an episode. I'm always proud of it. Go and check it out if you're into music. Thanks very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Luke Innes. You've been you.